Over 180,000 Georgians have already cast their ballots over the weekend, taking advantage of that extra day of early voting that they got because of that lawsuit that was filed by Senator Warnock. Did you agree with the judge's ruling in that case?
I don't even know why there was a discussion on that. Look, people got plenty of time to vote in this election. Let them go vote. This is going to be a turnout election. My message to people is don't get distracted with things like that. Just get the vote out.
So you think it's good that there was that extra day of early voting?
Well, I mean, look, counties have always had the option on when they can do early voting or not. So, I mean, I think fighting that fight, we could have been doing other things. But, you know, look, it wasn't my decision. I wasn't involved in it. All that matters is on election day who's got the most votes. It's really that simple. And I just think Republicans don't need to get distracted. That's what happened in the last runoff we had here in Georgia, and it didn't turn out very good for us.
Well, I want to return to that, but since I have seen you've won your re-election. You got about 200,000 more votes than the Republican candidate for Senate, Herschel Walker, did. You're now appearing with him on the campaign trail in a much bigger way than you were last time I saw you. Why now, and why do you think there were 200,000 people that voted for you but not for Herschel Walker?
Well, listen, I was focused on making sure that I got reelected, and I was also, as you know, from our past interviews and what people saw us doing and our campaign doing, it wasn't just helping me, it was helping our whole ticket. We had a really good night here in Georgia. We won every, statewide race Republicans did, and then we got an incumbent U.S. Senator in a runoff. So we had an incredible night here. But really, to me, the runoff now is a very simple choice. Are you going to vote for somebody that's been with Joe Biden 96% of the time, or are you going to vote for somebody that's going to go up there and fight for Georgia? And that's the way I'm voting.
Well, Herschel Walker was the only Republican who did not win on November 8th on the statewide ticket. What you just said about the choice, something you said, it reminds me of something you said on the campaign trail recently, which was, you said, who do you want to fight for you in the Senate? Do you want a guy who represents our values like Herschel Walker, or do you want somebody who has voted with President Biden 96% of the time? Does Herschel Walker share your values?
Well, listen, when I'm talking about going to Washington, D.C. and fighting for what Georgians need, I'm talking about the border, 40-year high inflation, astronomical gas prices since Joe Biden took office, and the agenda that Raphael Warnock has supported up there. I mean, to me, it's that simple in this race. And that's, why I'm voting for Herschel Walker. I want somebody to go up there and just go fight for our state and fight for our citizens, not fight to support a president that really, in my view, is not upholding the values of what Georgians want.
And you think Herschel Walker does that when it comes to values?
I think he will do that in the United States Senate.
You're campaigning with Herschel Walker, but Senator Warnock has kind of been campaigning with you. You have been featured in some of his ads. He is showing voters who cast their ballots for you.
Well, they did a press conference talking about, me and my agenda, which, hopefully because they did that, people will listen to what I've been telling them to vote for a guy that's going to fight for us.
It's pretty rare to see a Democratic Senate candidate campaigning with people who voted for the Republican governor.
Yeah, I mean, look, Warnock's got a lot of resources. He can do whatever he wants. But at the end of the day, I don't think any of that stuff matters. The money doesn't matter. Somebody's views that's going on a television commercial doesn't necessarily matter. It matters what people think and what they're dealing with in their everyday lives. And I know people are dealing with 40-year high inflation. I know that they know that the border's a disaster, and you got Joe Biden saying after the November election he's not going to change a thing. And I just think there's a lot of Georgians that want things to change in Washington, D.C., and they want people fighting to lower gas prices and lower 40-year high inflation. Interest rates are going up. I mean, it's, a lot of people starting to get laid off, big companies that are out there. Thankfully, our economy has been more insulated than most around the country, and we're very thankful and blessed by that. But, we don't want to risk that continuing into the future.
You talked about lessons learned after the last runoff election. What are those lessons?
Well, I think that's one reason we controlled our own destiny on our ground game, which we've, turned that over to the Senate Leadership Fund, and they're out there working, they're knocking doors, we're getting people to the polls, which is what this race is all about. And we built something pretty special here that worked. It didn't just work for me, it worked for the rest of the Republicans on the state ticket. And we're trying to make that work, hopefully, in this runoff.
We'll find out on next Tuesday. Since I last saw you, Georgia's highest court has reinstated a ban on abortion after 6 weeks. It basically put on hold a decision by a lower court that overturned that 2019 law that you signed into law. If the appeals court comes back and overturns the law, what will you do?
Well, we're going to keep fighting the legal process. I mean, we knew 3 years ago when we passed this bill that it was going to take a long time to get it through the courts and to get it implemented, and we knew there would be a lot of people fighting us. But that's the path that we've taken, and that's what we'll do. And so we're just going to wait and see what the court does, and then we'll reassess. I believe that they'll uphold our law and it'll be implemented.
Let me get your reaction to something that former President Trump has been under fire for in recent days, which is having dinner with Nick Fuentes, this outspoken white supremacist and anti-Semite.
Well, I just put a statement out there. I'll let that statement speak for itself. I mean, that was a bad decision. There's no place for that in the Republican Party. I know he's got, his answer to that question, and I'll let him speak to that. But my views on that are very clear.
He has defended it, saying he was a guest of Kanye West, who was his guest. But he hasn't criticized or denounced the statements that we've seen, this hateful language from Nick Fuentes.
Well, listen, I am not privy to who said what and all of that. I'll just let my statement speak for itself. It's very clear.
In recent days, you have filed paperwork to create a federal PAC of your own. It makes people wonder if you've got some of your own future national ambitions. What would you tell them?
I would tell them that we're working hard to get Herschel Walker elected to the United States Senate, and that's what people in Georgia need to stay focused on. We cannot get distracted with other things, and so that PAC's designed to do that, but also to help federal candidates in the future in our state. I mean, what we built with our ground game and the Georgians First committee was very effective at the state level, and we want to have that same tool available to help some of our friends that may be serving in Congress, or perhaps other nominees or other folks in the future. And so we thought it was wise to do that, to capitalize off of really a great effort that we've put together, and to continue to build off that to keep our state in good hands and have people in Washington, D.C. that are voting Georgia values. Could
that be to help other people who are running for the Republican nomination for president, potentially?
Well, that's not what the focus is. You need to worry about next Tuesday. That's what I'm worried about. Staying focused on getting Herschel over the goal line.
Next Tuesday is obviously what everyone's eyes are on, but you did see the former president announce that he will be running in 2024. Would you support him for that?
I did see that.
Would you support him in that run?
Well, I hadn't seen who else is going to run. So I'm going to keep focused on getting Herschel elected to the United States Senate. We do not need to get distracted from